against the world.
Do it good.
Good evening. It is Thursday, January 6th, 2022. This is The Genius Kev bringing you legit fantasy football. Unfortunately, King Michael is going to be a little bit late. Brother Ray will be off this week. And M1 and I, Masternomus, Mr. Never Left, we're having a little bit of a technical problem getting him onto the show. So I'm going to try to bring him in. Doesn't work, I'll talk a little bit solo for the next 15 minutes until the King gets on, but I will try to add M1 to the stream right now. So let's see what we got. Well, unfortunately, it does not look like it is working, which is unfortunate. So I'm going to back him out of here. And I'll start going through some topics. Hopefully we can get that worked out, and hopefully the King will join. But it is 7:15. Where we started about 8 minutes late, so I do want to get us going. So just to start things off, this is the Thursday show, and Thursday we usually go through. We usually recap all the Sunday games. I'm not going to hit all the Sunday games, but I do have thoughts on on some of them. But before that, I do want to get a couple things off my chest here. So first of all, when you're betting sports, you got to be aware of kind of when opportunity knocks. And the most recent example was the Texas Bowl between LSU and Kansas State. Now, I don't bet a ton of college football, but I did start betting it this year. And Big Stu, big college football fan. He's great. We're probably going to do a college football podcast in the future, but he and I will text back and forth. I'll start making bets. We'll talk it through. And Texas Bowl was in a weird spot because it was after all the New Year's Day bowls, after the kind of the semifinals for the championship had been played. So we all know it's Georgia, Alabama. Then you got this weird bowl in the next week, and it was Kansas State and LSU. Could be a decent game. LSU was favored by 2 or 3 in the initially. Then it turns out the first string quarterback for LSU is out. Second string quarterback's not playing. So they're down to like a third string quarterback. And like I said, I don't bet a lot of college football. So I couldn't even name who the starting quarterback is and who the 2 that missed are. I honestly, I don't even know their names. And they were also down to 39 scholarship players for that game, which to me seemed like a lot. I'm like, well, 11 offense, 11 defense, that's 22. You have 39 scholarship players, that should be enough. But it turns out you can have 80 plus scholarship players on a college football team. So they were kind of way low, especially for a program like LSU. So now I see all this, and the line is Kansas State minus 7.5, and I make a 1 or 2 unit bet on it. And I put it in, and that's that. And then I start thinking about it. And all night I'm thinking about it. I'm not even watching the game. I was watching a movie with with the girlfriend, and I'm just thinking about it. I was kind of like, I should have bet everything on that game because and the other thing, LSU from their defense, the defense that started the season, obviously 11 players, only one of those 11 was starting the game. It was starting in the Texas Bowl. So they're on the third string quarterback. They lost some other players, 39 scholarship players only, and the entire defense is basically second string. And I only bet 1 or 2 units. So it's like, and as the night's going on, I'm just getting very, very upset with myself. Kind of like, this is how you make your season. You find these spots and you hit them hard. You have to hit them hard. And I missed it. It was the same thing as if I were sweating out any other game over the weekend. And I'm kind of disgusted with myself because of that. But, you got to live and learn. And, an opportunity like that will present itself again. But just remember, like, not every game is equal. You don't have to bet the same on each one. Something like that, you go heavy on. And if you lose because the third string quarterback at LSU is unbelievable and he's like the second coming of, whoever, you live with that. But that would have been the right bet. So instead I pick up a unit or two, but it could have actually saved your season. It could have turned your season around with that kind of thing. So my advice there is just, especially with these college bowls where players opt out, and especially in the COVID times, players aren't playing, be aware of who's in and who's out and who's starting and who, and who's playing for your team. So that's my rant for tonight. I was just very, very, very upset with the outcome there, even though I won. I won a unit, but it's the same amount I won on Cleveland, Pittsburgh over Cleveland, which we'll talk about. So anyway, my second rant has to do with the legit bowl, and I'm not going to talk about it at all until King Michael comes on. Most of you know he and I were playing each other in the championship for the inaugural legit bowl. So we'll talk about that a little later when he comes on the show. So that said, next couple of things I wanted to get into was a Week 17 review. And like I said, we're not going to hit every game. I don't think that's a very good use of everyone's time. But I do want to hit 3 or 4, maybe 5, depending on how quickly we get through them. First one is Bucks at Jets. So I've been in New York this week, and when you're in New York, the broadcast games are Jets and Giants, like any other local market. And unfortunately, both of those teams are terrible and doubly unfortunate. I'm not a fan of either one. But however, Jets were on and Giants were on. So I started watching the Giants because I had more money bet on the Giants game. And then I'm watching the Jets score roll in, and they're beating the Bucks. And I'm shocked. I can't believe it. So at halftime, I switch it over and I start watching that game. And I'm watching, the Jets look halfway decent. And, they're moving the ball okay. Zach Wilson's not playing terribly. The defense is doing all right. They're kind of frustrating the Bucs a little bit. And as it goes on, you got to start thinking to yourself, are the Bucs, led by Tom Brady, actually going to lose this game? Like, the Bucs lose games. Well, the Saints have their number. They dropped a couple others. But are the Bucs going to lose to the Jets with Tom Brady as their quarterback, who played the Jets for the last 20 years in New England plus now? There's no way that's going to happen. And you're watching the Jets, and then the pressure starts hitting. After a while they're not going to be able to move the ball. Salah's going to be in overset a little bit. And look, I'm not harsh on the Jets. I'm just saying you got to think these things through. And so I put a live bet on the Bucs, of course, in the fourth quarter. I bet the Bucs money line. Very good bet. Like I said, Tom Brady's not going to lose. And it came through. But you kind of feel bad for the Jets, but they're the Jets. That's what they do. They lose games like this. And it was actually kind of sad watching the whole thing, because they actually thought they had a chance to pull it off, and they looked good right up until the fourth quarter. So it was a very tough time to be a Jets fan. Unfortunately, Big Stu couldn't make the show. I actually wanted him to come on and talk about that game. He couldn't make it. And the last thing, which we'll hit a little bit later, is Antonio Brown's situation. What, King? What is that? Is that your members only jacket?
Yep.
I was going to bring you on when I finished the Jets.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I have more pressing, things of importance, Kev.
Yeah,
shall I say, Kevin? Where is Christopher tonight?
Well, Big Stu can't do football. He'll be on for basketball, and M1 is trying to log on. He can't connect. So
I
the
bet you
start of the show.
M1 is stuck in like the basketball one.
Oh,
You
is
know
he?
what I mean? I bet you he
Wow.
is, because remember he was saying there's nobody here. There's white stuff.
No, I saw him though. I saw him at the bottom. But anyway,
Anyways, all right. So,
so
but just you here. I wanted to just give my acceptance speech.
well,
I
no,
wanted to
wait,
give.
hold on. I'm gonna give you a nice big intro, but I gotta. So let me wrap the Jets game first, because
I'll wrap up the Jets. Okay,
the Jets game.
I will prepare myself.
Antonio Brown loses his mind, and the coolest thing is, because I'm in New York, like I told you guys earlier, and I'm watching these two crappy games, I actually saw it live, and which is kind of cool because everyone sees it on Twitter, and it's kind of like everyone knows it's already happened. But as you're watching the game, the Bucks are driving, and Brady's trying to bring them back. I don't know, either take the lead or tie. I don't remember, but it was towards the end, and they just cut to the end zone, and Antonio Brown is in the end zone with his shirt off, waving to people. Number one sign. He goes to the tunnel, and the weirdest thing is, nobody tried to stop him. I think it was kind of like there might be an unwritten rule in the NFL and NFL stadiums. If AB loses his mind, just let him go. No one walked up to him. No one tried to stop. Whatever. When you watch the videos and highlights, you kind of get the whole picture. But it was just weird seeing it live because no one knew what the hell was going on. Awesome. Anyway, so that's the end of the Jets Bucks game.
Do you know that he later tweeted Brady's checking account numbers?
No.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
You checked? Yeah, I swear to God, check it out. He did it as like a slam on Brady to get back at him. So Brady had to change all his checking account numbers.
Oh my God, that's insane. All right, yeah, we're going to talk about AB a little later. All right, so now I said my second rant was going to be about the legit bowl, and I was going to hold it until the King was on. King is on. So the two of us played in the championship game, as most of you know. It was a nail biter down to the wire. Monday Night Football. He had Deontay Johnson going. Now, Deontay Johnson scores a touchdown, takes the lead. King wins. Whatever. However, the fact that that drive only got kept alive because someone picked up a shoe and threw it downfield and got a penalty to keep that pathetic Steelers drive alive, and that's the drive they scored the touchdown, upsets me. We were doing the basketball show. I missed that. Now, after that, I was upset. I'm gracious in defeat. I congratulate you, King. But you got to feel a little bit, it came down to a shoe. A defensive lineman picking up a shoe and throwing it downfield, and that's what it was. But now you have the floor. Now I'll step back. I'm not gonna mute myself, but I will mute myself.
Okay. So Kev, actually don't mind me. Don't mind me for a second. Oh, I can't because you have all right. Well, I'll give it a shot.
You want yourself? Do you want to be solo?
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I wanted. I want to thank first of all everyone that was in this league. Let me start with the 12th ranked team Gandhi, which was formerly Jesse's Jackals. I want to thank Jesse's team for holding the basement firm, being in last place to start the season and never, ever, ever coming out. So, as great as I was as bad as he was. And then number 11, Junior's team, like to thank his team. They started off like 3 or 4-0, and they just kept losing 5 in a row streaks, and he just couldn't get the team back together. And they finished 11th. And I hope that taught him a lesson about how fantasy sports are, and that young people don't know anything. Number 10, not paranormally good at this. Joey Paranormal. Joey, you had so many excuses about your draft and about how you're really good in other leagues and how you're killing it in this league and you're killing it in that league. But the fact was you were 6-8 and you couldn't make the playoffs. Number 9, take me off the group text. 7-7, Coach TJ. Awful. You should have did so much better than you did. Awful. 7-7. Awful. Like seriously awful. Now to number 8, Big Stu's crew. Stu, it happens. It's just how it is with you. I'm sorry. Number 7, David's team. The fact that you kept the name David's team the whole year doomed your team to ever winning, period. Number 6, brother's going to work it out. I kind of like that. My brother Ray going with that more of a 90s flair. But brother couldn't work anything out when it came to these playoffs, and finished kind of in 6th. Timmy B, heard a lot about you from Matt. None of it seemed to be true. Gotta be honest, wasn't impressed. Sorry. 4, Mastradamus. Oh my gosh. Oh, did anybody talk a game as big as you? Could anybody speak as loud as you? Could anybody pound their chest and say they were going to win as loud as you? Actually, there is one person that would do that. But here's the thing, Matt. I told you I was going to beat you. I let you talk. I reeled you in. I dragged you into the deep waters. And when it came down to it, we both dropped like $1.50, but I had 6 more points, and that's how fantasy goes. Number 3, cut my balls. Buddy there. Buddy, you drafted such an excellent team. I feel like if you knew anything about football, you would have been really, really good this year. The Dolphins are only going to just break your heart and get you a worse draft pick. Number 2, to the person that's hosting the show and hosting the basketball show, my dear friend, Kevin. Kevin, it was not meant to be for you. I once again, my team dropped whatever they needed to point-wise. If I had to go to $1.60, then hell, I'm going to $1.60. And with that, I want to end with, I want you all to rest easy, rest assured. I am now the champion. And with that said, I'm probably the best thing that's happened to this in a long time. I will be a proud champion. I will be, I will give advice. I will help others try to become a champion. I will reach out if you need help from me in any way to be now what I truly am. It's your champion. I am a champion, not for me. Kevin, it's not for me. That's just not how it is. I am your champion. Let me be sincere. I am your champion. I beat you and beat everyone else so that this fantasy league would be revered, so that the legit fantasy football league will now be one of the biggest fantasy football leagues in all of existence. There will be people that will want to come and get in this league from far away, the legit fantasy football league, because Kevin, there's finally a champion to come after, to come and try to beat, who will truly carry this trophy with dignity. And that's Legendary Kings. I thank you. I will speak to you soon as your champion. Good night. Hey, Kev, I'm done. You can come back, Kev. I'll keep talking if you don't want to come in. Oh, there you go. Can you hear me? You're muted.
Yeah, I think it just happened when you went into that speech. I think it muted microphones across the world. I will give you credit. That's a very good speech. The one thing, so what, because you won Kevin now, like the genius kept things over because is that what you were doing there, or was that just a coincidence?
When I go into the champion character, he speaks on different levels. Kev, he's a different guy. Like, I can't explain it. When I have to bring out that champion thing, the champion, he's always ready to go. So now that, like I said, I am the champion, I'm gonna be the biggest thing that's hit this sport in so long. You wait. Phenomenal. Oh, love it. You know what? Love every minute of it. I got to be honest. Love every minute of it because you need. It's weird. You guys needed me to win this championship. You did.
I don't
You
think
really
that's.
did.
I definitely think that's true. I don't think
Of course
that's
you did. Of course
No,
you did.
no, we didn't. No,
Who would be your biggest target? Who would be the biggest
me.
target?
I should have won. It's
No. But
everyone
who
knows.
holding the belt would draw more heat and give the belt more pizzazz? Who's gonna hold the belt and make other people want to beat that person so bad to get that belt? They're not gonna come after you. I'm the guy.
They would accept my supremacy, and that would be that. Which is why this is so awful. This is why this is so confusing to everyone.
To be the man, you got to beat the man.
Now, the only thing, there were a couple of things in your speech I had issue with. The first one is you were talking about you would provide advice. Well, before the championship game, M1 and I provided some advice to you. So,
yep. And here's my advice. If you do a fantasy football podcast and you have questions about your lineup, but you're playing the guy that's doing the podcast with you, try to figure out a way to ask the questions on the show as if it's from someone else. Get the answer and use it.
Exactly.
And by the way, what Matt did was give me a horrible defense and gave you like 20-something points. So without that last second Matt addition, I would have blew you out. He dropped that guy. He made you start. He's like, oh, he's starting. You're like, oh, really? But that was like 26 points. The defense got me 6.
Look, I would have found Eli Mitchell. Let's not go anywhere there. The question is, would you have started Singletary without M1's advice? That's the question.
Yeah, I definitely would have. I definitely would have. I did I definitely would have. I did the week before. If you look.
No. And you're right about getting questions out, and you might as well do it because I was doing that with Brother Ray, and it works, and it's cool. That's what we kind of have to deal with. I like my team a lot. I had a nice run from the bottom all the way up to the top. Almost pulled it off. Sucks. I congratulate you. I have no ill will. I hope you just use a little bit of tact and a little bit of class when you design the championship belt, because I'm probably going to wear it for the next couple of years. So at least make it, like I'm a 36. So,
I'm a 34.
Yeah. So exactly. That's what I mean. So give it a couple extra inches.
I'll do it like a 38. No, I'll pump it up to 42. What do I care? I'm going to put it on my shoulder. I'm not going to wear it as a belt. I'm going to put it on my shoulder, walk around smacking it. Whenever someone asks me a question, I have to explain myself. I'm just going to go.
Yeah.
A lot of years, Kev. A lot of years. I'm going to hold this belt for a long time.
I hope Buddy wins it at some point, because he's going to have to get like a belt extender, like they give you on an airplane for a seat belt. I would pay to see that. But anyway, congratulations. I hope you are true to your word. A lot of times when you win a championship, you don't know this is your first one. A lot of times when you win a championship, it gets to your head, and you start looking down on people, and you think they're a little silly. You might call yourself something like a king or a genius.
Oh, I already looked down on them. Yeah.
You got to be a little bit careful.
No, I'll be honest. I was. Some of those teams were god awful horrible, like god awful horrible, and they have no excuse. They shouldn't even be forgiven. Like seriously, like my son's team, I'm appalled with. I think he started off 4-0 or 3-0 and dropped to 4-10. And then the worst part was Jesse's team made 31 moves throughout the season.
Really?
Yeah, I made 12.
How do you make 31 moves and never improve himself?
That's my point. So he actually was kind of playing, but he never came out of 12th place. I can't find a week where he wasn't 12th. I know that sounds crazy, but it's amazing. His total points for is 1,500. 1,579. We're all up in the 18-19s. We're all in the 18-19s.
Yeah. So.
Oh, they had some weird. So on the site, they had some other weird stats. Like, I had the lowest amount of points scored against me per week. I had the easiest schedule when it came to points, how much people would score. There was all these ratings and levels. Oh, and then it did. Oh, wait a minute, Kev. There is something we got to find it, because there's a thing that it broke down. the season, and it was basically explaining the different teams and who was the best offense and who was the best this and who was the best that, and it's a great. If I can find it, it's a great read because it just slams on all the bad teams. They're all like the worst of everything. I love it. It's just like they're just the worst of everything. You know what I mean? I don't know where it is, but it's great.
Well, yeah, I don't know what's going on with that.
Record book, Kev. Record book. There's a record book now. Most wins, right? Legendary Kings, 11. Most wins in the season, Legendary Kings, 11. Longest streak, 7. The Ivy Leaguers. Longest streak all time, same thing. Ivy Leaguers. Current streak, Legendary Kings. Then it goes to losses. Most losses, Team Gandhi. Most losses all time, Team Gandhi. Longest streak of losing, cut my balls. Longest streak all time of losing, 5 games, cut my balls. Current streak, 5. Junior. Margin of victory, the largest. Junior beat what's his face? TJ by 83 one week.
Oh, I remember that, yeah.
Then the smallest victory was Big Stu beat Joey Paranormal by 0.02.
Wow.
And then let's see. Strength of schedule hardest. Brother's gonna work it out. They average 137 points against them. Strength of schedule easiest. Me 121.
Oh.
He can't get on, can he?
No,
Does he want to get on? Does he want to get on right now?
He's trying. See him at the bottom, like see his thing. It's all white. I tried saying that a couple times, then I had to start the show. But congratulations. You got it. You won it. You survived the M1 onslaught in the playoffs. You survived everything else. I congratulate you, and you better get a tasteful belt because I'll probably be wearing it most of the time.
I'm gonna be honest. It happened just the way I thought championship runs happen. You know what I mean? Like I was like, because I'll be honest. Let's really be honest. I've never won a championship. Like I think I may have won one like before we did the league with Turner, like a Yahoo league with like people I didn't know. I think I may have, but I'm not even sure. So I can't even say that for sure. But all I know is, in like 20-something years, I haven't won a championship. And now that we start this new league, that's after the show, and it supposedly had all these great people in it. I crushed it. Like I loved my draft. I really did. I thought I drafted so solid because I had Singletary as like a extra back. Like the biggest mistake I made was my first pick. After that, I was money on. I mean, serious too. My first pick was Saquon Barkley.
Oof. And you won. Oh, that's terrible. No.
Right? And I won. Think about that. So I drafted really well is what I'm trying to tell you. And I made the least amount of moves. Which
usually doesn't work. So.
But Rex Burkhead at the right time. Kev, that was like, I'm looking through running backs and like, it says, I'm reading his thing and it's like, he's going to start. And I'm like, it was just updated like 8 minutes ago. I'm like, oh, I got to sign Rex Burkhead. And I'm like, I signed back Rex Burkhead, and he went off like
career. He had a career game.
They're unexplainable. These fantasy football runs. Like I'll be honest, I
had like 1 year a completely different league. I was like not corrupt league, very like completely dominant team, and I'm rolling through the season, crushed it, rolling to the playoffs. I was ahead of Steve Marcelo, my cousin. Obviously, he conceded the game, and he had Chris Cooley left. He was down by about 30. Chris Cooley caught 4 touchdown passes
against the Giants, right?
4. How many
against the Giants?
Like, what? He was a Redskin. I don't know if they were playing.
I know. I think it was against the it was the inboxes versus the Giants. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he conceded. I had the concession message, and Cooley caught 4 touchdowns, and he beat me. Like that's fantasy football. Like that'll. Like, how often does that happen? It's not like Jamar Chase. Like I'm sure last week, Jamar Chase won a ton of championships. Immensely talented. This was Chris Cooley, and I'm talking about it 10 years later, at least 10 years later. I'll never forget it. I will never forget that.
How could you?
So,
hey, you want to go through the 2 Saturday games because we can't give picks on those.
Well, hold on a second. Yeah, we're gonna do picks on those, but I had a couple of other things I wanted to hit before that because I don't want to hit every game last weekend, but I want to talk about a couple others. Then we'll go to the Saturday games and we'll go from there. So I already did Bucks Jets, Chiefs at Bengals. Chiefs 31, Bengals 34. Now, you and I both picked the Chiefs -3, -3.5, whatever it was. I think M1 was on the Bengals, whatever. And I kept saying to be the king, you have to beat the king, and the Bengals were unbelievable. They were down by 14. Jamar Chase had, 240 something yards receiving. I don't understand why they were still covering him. Why they kept him just under man-to-man single coverage. I don't understand that. But the Bengals looked unbelievable. Do you think they actually can make a run in the playoffs based on that game?
So listen. So the biggest thing that I take away from that, and I stick by, and I don't know if everybody agrees with me, but the chemistry between Burrows and Chase is so sick. Like, in other words, Burrows sometimes just throws the spots he knows Chase is going to turn and be in.
Yeah.
I've seen him do that. That you don't do that with every receiver. Like, you wish you were that good that you could do that with every receiver. But like, I mean, I don't know, man. How good is that defense? Like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, how, because the Bengals can run it, and then if Burrow's going to play like that with Chase, I mean, that's a nasty offense. So, how good is the defense? That's what we're going to need to find out. The Chiefs, though, are still going to be there.
Yeah. And the strange thing about it is the Bengals were down, like I said, by 14 in the first half, and it didn't get in their heads at all, and which is awesome to see. I hope they make a little run. I would love to see them, in the AFC Championship game or something, because they played great. And Chase is obviously 19, 20 years old. He's young. Burrow is under 25. T. Higgins is under 25. And I even think Joe Mixon is under 25. So their whole core of skilled players, except Tyler Boyd, is under 25. So they look great.
Let me tell you about T. Higgins, though, for a second. I kept fighting M1 and someone else when I kept saying T. Higgins up until Jamar Chase, he was the number one. And then I said he's gonna be number two. And they're going, no, it's Boyd, or it's so and so, or it's whatever. And I'm like, no. Higgins is going to be the number two, because Higgins is that possession end zone receiver. Like, that's what he does. He's a beast.
Yeah, he's great. If unfortunately for him, they have Chase, because he could be probably a number one somewhere else, because he's immensely talented. Like in the corrupted league, when you and I were trying to trade receivers, I had a very hard time deciding between Deontay Johnson or T. Higgins, because they're both amazing. They're both young, the whole thing. So I completely agree. Next one to hit quick, and I'm going to go first on this, is Cardinals 25 at Cowboys 22. Now, if you remember the Sunday show, I went through the whole thing as a Cowboys fan, and I said the Cowboys read their own press clippings. The Cowboys lose this type of game that they should win. Arizona's in a free fall, literally a free fall. Cowboys are ascending again, and they look bad. The offense somehow doesn't produce, and I'm not smart enough to understand what type of defense the Cowboys can't execute against, because before the Michael Gallup injury, they have Amari Cooper, they have CeeDee Lamb, they have Gallup, they have one of the two. I think one of the tight ends, Blake Jarwin, is injured, but the other one tight end is good. Zeke and Tony Pollard. Offensive line isn't as good as it used to be, but like that's enough. And then you have Dak, and I've never been a Dak fan. Everyone knows that. And he still has these moments where he just doesn't look like he knows where he is, and he makes a turnover or something. And the defense is playing great this year. They're a big play defense, which is awesome, because you kind of need that in the playoffs. A defense that can get a turnover, actually score points. And somehow they put that all together. And then Arizona, who's playing terribly the last few weeks, losing games. Kyler Murray looks bad. Comes into Dallas, and you go back and watch the show on Sunday. I bet Arizona. And they won outright. And it's awful for the Cowboys. And now The third wide receiver is out. He tore an ACL catching a touchdown pass, which is terrible. That's Gallup. So Gallup is gone for the rest of the year. That's bad. And Dallas wins the East because it's a very weak division, and they should not play their starters this week. They say they're going to. They should not at all. And they're probably going to play Arizona again in the first round of the playoffs. So that game it was everything I expected as a Cowboys fan, and that's why I hate them. Welcome back.
You know what? It's weird how we all hate our organizations, yet we love them. Because, with the Giants, I hate them because I swear to God, I feel like they're doing like a social test where they're making like so many fans just feel deja vu every year at the same time. Like we're 4 and like whatever, and I'm just going, wasn't it just like this last year, the year before, the year before that, the year before that, the year before that? Like, what's going on? Why? And then we identify what we need to take care of, right? We identify that, and then we don't do it. We never get it done.
Well,
and it just goes on year after year. And Kev, I always feel like I got like, oh, I'm so excited about this year. This is the year we're gonna do it. This is gonna be the year for the Giants. It's gonna be the year. And then they play a game and they get pushed around. You know how they do, how the Giants do? They fall apart like that bullshit. And I just go, you know what? Here we are again. Like we can't block.
I didn't even want to spend a lot of time on the Giants, but we kind of have to. Like they are such a tough watch. They're a terrible, terrible team, and the embodiment of it all was they're receiving a kickoff, and they think the ball's going to go in the end zone. Instead, it bounces at the 2 or the 3, and they all panic, and one of them dives on it. So now they start 1st and 10 on like the 2. Now the offensive line isn't great; they can't run, but they're afraid to pass. They are terrified to pass. Glennon had 3 pass attempts in the first half.
Glennon.
So they hand off the ball to Booker. He gets sacked, tackled in the end zone, safety. You guys blew the kickoff return. You called a terrible play because you have no confidence in your quarterback to throw something short on the side. And now it's a safety, and you're doing a free kick and everything. They're so freaking hard to watch. Awful, awful. I don't know where you go.
I don't know how Joe Judge keeps his job with this record. Like, I don't know what plan he told Mara he has. Because I think it starts with Mara. I think Mara's got to go. His decision-making is horrendous. I was reading about how he didn't take a certain coach or player because he didn't like their agent. Oh, it was all this weird shit. Oh, that left tackle from the Titans. The guy, the Seahawk, Kung. The Giants were supposed to sign him so many times, but he wanted to come to New York, but they wouldn't sign him because Mara didn't like the guy's agent. And what is even his agent anymore? He had fired him. So it's like there's such bad backroom dealings with the Giants that needs to be cleared up. It's off. I mean, it's really that bad. And then Gettleman, I don't think Gettleman was that bad of a GM. I don't give a frick what anyone says. Other than the offensive line not being fixed, the trades he made with Odell and all that other stuff, it brought Dexter Lawrence. It brought a bunch of stuff. Like I don't mind the moves he made. You know.
I don't think the trades are bad. I don't think he's an amazing drafter, but he's probably not the problem. You hit it. You hit it first. It's the Maras. Like they're not like they're running it like it's like a family candy store, and they have to decide if they want to win. You got to tear it all apart and put in people that are winners. But did you read or listen to the Joe Judge rant? I actually read the whole thing.
No,
it was pretty good because he was saying this isn't some clown show organization. He's claiming that the players work hard and they're bought in, and like it's not like in previous years where players would have like golf bags at their lockers at this time of the year because they know they're going to go play golf somewhere. He claims that he's fixing the culture, and if he's right, you'll see it next year. If he's wrong, you wasted another year on this guy. So hopefully Judge is right. From reading everything he said, he actually didn't sound unhinged. He only swore. People are labeling it this curse-laden tirade. He swore twice in like 11 minutes. Who cares? So he actually sounded okay, and hopefully he's smart enough to realize the areas they need help, and
he makes you believe in him.
Yeah.
I'll agree with you. He does that, but that's why I believe in the guy so far. But because he sounds like he's coming from the right place, he's saying the right things. But if they're not listening to him, there's no point in this. So I don't know where the disconnect is, because like you can't have an offensive coordinator that you don't want. You fire the offensive line coach, which is from Garrett's tree, right? Yeah. They pretty much fired Garrett's O-line coach. Like, so Judge was already banging heads 2 years ago. So it's been like chaos.
And maybe, you know what, like, we'll never know what's going on. Like, that's one thing. We'll never know. So we have to make a lot of assumptions. And he had to take Garrett. Like, Garrett was already hired. He had to have Garrett. And it took him a year and a half to get rid of him. And maybe he was fighting that fight. Political battles take a long time to play out. So, you know, who knows? Maybe next year it'll work out. But according to Judge, the players that left want to play for him. He works them hard. There's a lot of respect. I don't know if it's true or not. I'm just saying he claims that they're actually playing hard. Now, I haven't heard stuff about how bad the locker room is, like you heard about Jacksonville and some other bad organizations. So, you know, maybe he will turn it around. But his whole thing was it's culture, and you have to have the culture right. So maybe he will. For your sake, I hope he does.
Where did the culture go if it's that bad? Because think about it, they drafted a guy who ended up – they traded up into the first round to get him, who eventually got kicked out of the NFL for shooting up a dice game.
Which is
and then he
one
signed with the Browns.
Yeah.
Right? Didn't he sign the Browns?
DeAndre, yeah. And he's out completely. Like, I think the Packers tried to pick him up. But anyway, all right, so let's get to these other games quickly. Then we'll move on to the Saturday games. So we talked Chiefs, Bengals. We talked Cardinals, Cowboys. Next thing, only one other one I want to hit because it leads into other topics, is Browns 14 at Steelers 26. Now, the Browns were eliminated from the playoffs. Whatever, Steelers should have won the game. But the important thing there is it was Big Ben's last home game, and he looked pissed throughout the game. I don't know if you watched the game. He looked pissed. But what I really want to ask is, what do you think of Roethlisberger? What do you think of his legacy? He's probably a first ballot Hall of Famer, but what do you think of Big Ben?
All right. So going back when Big Ben got drafted, I thought the Giants were going to take Big Ben. All eyes were pointing towards the Giants were going to miss out on Eli Manning and going to take Big Ben, right? So I got to know Big Ben. I learned about him. Then the Giants did that whole where Eli refused to go, and then they ended up doing the trade. Because when we picked Phillip Rivers, they still hadn't announced any trade or said anything about it. So when the Giants picked Phillip Rivers, I remember being like, "What? Like, why they got the Phillip Rivers was like the third quarterback we had on our board." So then, come to find out, we make the trade. It's Eli. Years go by. Here's the differences. So Roethlisberger in his first couple of years was not a good person. Just so we're all clear on that.
First several years, not his first couple of years. Yeah. His first several years.
And Eli Manning, for all we know, he's a Walter Peyton Man of the Year type person. He seems like he would live you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there's no tags on Eli.
No.
So as they went through it, I always thought Eli made more of the dumber plays, but Roethlisberger extended plays sometimes too much to detriment. I think they're both Hall of Famers. It's because they both got 2 Super Bowls, even though Eli's got 2 MVPs. I think Roethlisberger has 1. Either way, he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. Like, he was that good of a quarterback. I think he was more mobile than people thought for a big guy. But I never like watching him play. I don't like watching him or a Romo where they're like, "Come on, throw the ball, throw the ball." It's like I don't want to watch a play break down like that. I like more executed, like step back, 2 step, look, throw. You know, I don't like the whole extend the play. They pull his shoe. How many times have you seen him with 1 shoe on, running the? I mean, serious too. Like the sock flapping, and he's running to make a throw. Like that's what I mean.
I don't love that because that's how you won your legit championship. But anyway. But I agree with you on Roethlisberger. He was his character stuff. Now you know that anything we hear is tip of the iceberg. So he was probably 10 times worse. And Eli's choir boy, Peyton's choir boy, and like that's just who they are. It's who they are as people. But as a pure quarterback, Roethlisberger's like top 10, top 5, top 8, something like that. Top 8 in passing yards, passing touchdowns, and wins, quarterback wins. He's 5, 8, and 5 in those categories. So he's definitely first ballot Hall of Famer. He's got 2 Super Bowls. But, like, I never really liked his game. I kind of agree with you with that. Like, it wasn't like I was kind of like, I can't wait to watch Roethlisberger. Even though I don't like the Chiefs, I like watching Mahomes. I like watching Aaron Rodgers. I like watching, obviously, love watching Brady. There's quarterbacks that you just, like Drew Brees. It was awesome watching him carve up a defense. Even if you weren't cheering for him, Peyton Manning. I used to love watching Peyton Manning, even though I'm following the Patriots at the time. He would just carve something. Big Ben, like I didn't love watching the guy, but I'm not a Steelers fan. My sister is, she has a very different perspective. But as a pure football person, not somebody that I fell in love with.
You know what got tough for him too was that he was starting to get known for late game comebacks.
Yeah.
Right. And he's always going to be forever compared to Eli because of the same draft class. And then Eli had comebacks that just made his comebacks look small. Do you know what I mean? Like he really did. Like if there's one thing you remember about Eli Manning, it's literally, I always picture the helmet sideways on his head when he got smashed and he's still getting up. Like that's what no one gets. Why I love the guy so much. If it wasn't for that horrible coach, he would have played and started every single game of his career. That who comes even close to that with the
That's
rest
actually
of
nuts.
all the bullshit. That's why Eli deserved it, and I couldn't believe that they took that away from him when they didn't. And they start. Who did they start? They started. What's his face?
I don't.
Guy from the Jets. Give him the Jets.
Smith.
Quarterback. Yeah. Unbelievable that he would do that. Why? You want to get a look at Geno Smith? The fact that he was there every day, I keep saying, there's got to be nothing more settling to a culture or a team than the fact that your quarterback is going to be there every game.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, and look, like I was never a huge Eli fan. That's just the truth. And as someone that's a Cowboys fan, as someone that following the Patriots, that has to be true, right? But I have more respect for him the more time I spend looking at his achievements and the other thing is the Manning cast. He's great on that, and it's introducing a whole bunch of people that you know what. This guy actually has a personality, and he just didn't have a huge personality like Peyton, and he's in a perfect spot, and they just play off each other, and that's it's awesome. But you're right, like those two will forever be compared.
Peyton makes you realize why Eli is so quiet. Because if you had a brother like Peyton, you wouldn't talk very much. Because then even Cooper is loud. So like the two brothers are both loud. So Eli, they used to punch Eli to see if they could make him cry. They said, and he would never cry. Is that crazy? They would always try to make him cry by hitting him, but he would never cry.
And dude's got 2 Super Bowl wins in the most improbable situation. Did you watch the Manning cast on Monday?
No.
Okay, so quick story that Snoop told. So I don't know if it was it had to be the second one. I think it was the second one. Whatever it was, it's Super Bowl against the Patriots, and Snoop was booked by Robert Kraft to play at the Patriots victory party. Giants win the game. Snoop's like, I dipped. I just no-showed it. I dipped. I was gone. And Eli was like, we didn't even have a victory party booked. We had a flight booked.
Yep.
And we were just getting out of there. So it probably wasn't the almost perfect season because the Giants beat the Patriots in the last game of the regular season. It was probably the first one. And I was just like, that's an amazing story. And that's freaking Eli.
That first of all, let's talk about that first Super Bowl win, right? Because that first Super Bowl win was one of those things where it was like it had to happen. Like there's no way that you were going to stop what had to happen. It was just weird. Because I had already bought 2 T-shirts online that said Patriots Perfect Season.
Well, that's the second. That's the second one, right?
No, the first one. I got one from the first one and the second one.
Okay. Yeah.
Here's to a Perfect Season is the second one, right? The first one. I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have Here's to a Perfect Season with a beer mug.
Yeah, I think that was the second one.
That's the second one, the Perfect Season? First one was.
I think whatever. Okay, either one. Sorry.
Because Randy Moss was in the first one.
Yeah, I don't want to break up the story. Yeah, go ahead.
Right, yeah. Randy Moss scores, and the Giants come down and score to Plaxico. So when they had Randy Moss, that's new number 1 when they first played him. because the Giants came out of nowhere to play the Patriots. The Patriots are going to go undefeated. But anyways, watching that game, right? Like when we played them in the regular last season, one of the last games of the season, they beat us on a last minute touchdown pass to Randy Moss, and I thought to myself, we're really close with them. Like we were actually really close. And then here comes the Super Bowl, and I tell everybody this story. I was listening at the time. I was driving a lot. I was listening to 103.7, I think it was, sports in Boston.
Yeah.
And every now and then they would let Mike from North Providence on, and I would talk about the Giants, and then they would cut me off at some point and then just make fun of me. That's basically what they did. But I refused to stop. And they asked me, finally, they were like how are they going to beat? How do you expect them to beat the Patriots? And I said, simple. We're going to hit Brady, and we're going to keep hitting him until we win the game. And they were like, they blew me off. Oh, our line's this, our line's that. Who do you got? Old man Strahan. You got this, that, the other. I'm like, all right, well, here we come. And when that game happened, man, I heard of people like a guy I knew flew his dad from Florida down, and he bought like a brand new 50-something inch TV, and him and his dad wore their Patriots gear, and they were going to sit there together on this brand new TV and watch the Patriots go undefeated. That was such a foregone conclusion. Like that was such arrogance that you knew they were about to lose. I mean, I'm being serious on this. There was such arrogance in what they were and how they were acting. We were taking them out. And then in the second Super Bowl, he makes that one pass that's like, I don't know how you throw that ball. Like, honestly, God, dude, don't tell me about it because I don't know how you throw it right there.
The second one was a perfect season one, and that one the hurt because the Patriots, the first possession, Brady got the safety because his back foot was in the end zone. It took them so long to get on track, and they finally did, and the same thing happened at the end of the game. But the funniest thing that about the Mannings, have you seen the Caesars commercials? Where the guy that plays Caesar with the big gold glasses, a black guy and his wife and everything. They have the Mannings in their suite, and Peyton's in Cooper's in the back, and he's trying on the glasses and he's looking around and the whole thing, and it's hilarious. And they're talking about the helmet catch, and Eli's like, "But your favorite was the helmet catch, right?" And Peyton goes, "I would have hit him in the numbers." It's just such a ridiculous setup. It's peak Mannings right now, and I love it. It's freaking awesome. All right. So anyway,
it was the first game, Kev. Why do you think it was the second Super Bowl?
I actually saw the season finale in 2012 when the Patriots got the perfect season when they beat the Giants, and the Giants played so tough and they still ended up losing, and I was kind of worried, and we all know what happened. But all right, anyway, so we're at the 53-minute mark. Let's go through the games on Saturday quick. There are a couple of things I wanted to cover, but we can live without it.
Let's just make our picks and get you onto the basketball show. I think TJ's joining you. You're gonna have Stu joining you.
Yep. Yeah, and then TJ somewhere in the internet mix. So I got my spreadsheet up here. So we got week 18. We got 2 Saturday games. The only thing we really need to hit is the Saturday games because we'll hit the Sunday games on Sunday. So first one, Kansas City at Denver. The line is Denver minus 11.5.
No, Kansas City minus 11.5.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that would have been amazing if it wasn't. Kansas City at Denver. Kansas City minus 11.5. Over under is 45.5. Now Kansas City can only improve their seeding because Tennessee has the number 1 seed locked up. If Tennessee beats Houston, they have the number 1 seed. So Kansas City has to make a decision. Are they going to play their starters or are they not? Denver's playing for pride. So you kind of have to suss this whole thing out.
What divisional. Do you think? Yeah. No, it's too divisional. 11's too much. It is. It's too much for that kind of those two teams to play each other. Maybe by 7, 6, 5. Yeah, all right. But 11.5 is too much. I'll go with Denver.
Yeah, so everything leans towards Denver. The only thing that might not is if Kansas City's you know what? we want to at least put pressure on Tennessee. We're going to blow this thing out. We're going to be done at half and whatever. But I agree. I like Denver, and I like the under. Second one is interesting also. It's Dallas at Philly. Philly is getting 5. Now, a little while ago, Philly was getting 7. Now, Dallas can only improve their seeding if the Bucs lose and if the Rams lose, which is unlikely to happen. Philly's got a wild card locked up. They can't really do much on their seeding either. So if both teams are smart, they'll probably play backups. And Philly's backup quarterback, we all know, is Gardner Minshew. So he's going to be auditioning for a team. So I like Philly. I wish I betted that plus 7.5. It's only plus 5. I still like Philly, and I'm always betting unders, so I'm going to go with the under.
Yeah, I like Philly as the NFC East whisperer. I will tell you, Philly. I like Philly getting the points on this one.
Yeah,
they're a better team, I think, right now than the Cowboys, and I can't believe I'm saying that, but I think they might be.
Yeah, and if the Cowboys are smart, especially because they lost Gallup last week, like they can't afford to lose. They lost Blake Jarwin a couple of weeks ago. Like they can't afford to lose any more weapons. So hopefully they just sit everyone, take the L, still win the NFC East, get the 4 or 5 seed, and then they're still going to play Arizona in a rematch of the game from last week, which would be cool. All right, so that is NFL. There are a couple of things I wanted to hit. I can live without it. King, any final thoughts on NFL, on the Saturday games, on Week 17, go Week 18? You have the legit bowl. You have the floor for 35 seconds.
You know what? No. I will not be joining you for the basketball show, but
What?
You have Stu and TJ, so you have more than enough bandwidth between those two to run a show. I mean, it's gonna sound like Jesus. I always feel like I have to do the show because between the 3 of you guys, it's gonna be like this like, you know what I mean? This intellectual Spock talk about basketball that's gonna be so high above people with numbers and percentages. No one's gonna make fun of LeBron, but whatever. I'll be back next time to do it.
How is it this?
Yeah, he's holding it down. That's what he does. All
right.
He lets people know he's holding it down. But anyways, no, I'll be honest. Like, I am the best thing for this fantasy league. I'll be the person that makes this league something. Like, once I get that belt on my shoulder, people will know about this league. They will want to be in this league. I'm the face that runs this place. I am the draw. That's all. All
right. For those of you that made it all the way through that second monologue, we thank you for watching. Get your bets down. Bet the Eagles. Bet the Broncos. Bet the unders on both. Make some money this weekend. And right now, I'm going to switch over, change my shirt, wet my hair, and do some basketball.